1. Father eats salty food, child is thirsty.
Question, dear teacher, I often hear people say, in my life, my father ate salty food, but in my life I was thirsty. I don't understand clearly the meaning of this statement. And is saying so contrary to the law of cause and effect? Dear teacher, please give us a clear answer.
Answer. When I first heard this statement, it seemed to contradict the law of cause and effect. Because according to the law of cause and effect, everyone does what they do. It is impossible for one person to eat and another person to be full, or for one person to drink but another person to be thirsty. The karma we cause, we have to accept, no one can replace us. So, why is it said here that in the father's life he will eat salty food and in his child's life he will be thirsty? This saying, according to our understanding, speaks of the interaction and influence in family life. Having lived together in a family, of course, in addition to separate karma, it also has common karma in it. If there is no common karma, then there is certainly no close relationship through the relationship between father and son or husband and wife. Although this is the unjust family debt each person had with each other in the past. Having said that it is a collective karma, it more or less affects each other. According to separate karma, everyone does what they do. If the father breaks the law, the father must be imprisoned before the law, no one can replace him. However, if considered from the perspective of common karma, the father's work will have a great impact on the family. Influence affects many aspects, such as decline in business, difficulties in family economics, affecting children's education in terms of background. Material as well as spirit, we can see clearly about this impact on studying for exams. After 1975, the majority of students in families whose fathers were high-ranking national officers were failed because not a good background. Thus, what a father does has an impact on the family and children. It is a common karma that the family must bear. As for the father, he was punished and tortured by the law, that was his own karma. From there, it can be deduced that the good or bad actions of each member of the family, or in an organization, or more broadly, the entire nation, have a common impact. That's why there are sayings, good leaves, good spring rolls, good brother, good sister. Or vice versa too. Or, one person makes the whole group look bad, one person does a good job and we all get thanks. A worm spoils the pot of soup, etc. There are and are many more sayings like that. If parents are not ethical, their children can easily be spoiled. For example, in a family, the father often drinks heavily, and the mother often likes to gamble. Even so, the two were still in conflict, arguing with each other forever. Life between the two was not a bit happy. Both of them live carelessly like that, so how can the children in the family be close? Because parents lack morality. How can they educate their children? Of course, children also have indulgent lives. This has been happening every day in society, in relative life. Sometimes there are special exceptional cases. Like a bitter tree that bears sweet fruit. There are families whose parents lack morality and are poorly educated, but have very obedient children who study well and become talented. These exceptions, to be honest, are very few. The vast majority are greatly influenced by collective karma. In short, the above statement, in my opinion, has nothing against the law of cause and effect. Because of the law of cause and effect, we must consider many aspects. It cannot be considered unilaterally, locally, or one-sidedly. Because of cause and effect, it correlates according to the estimate of the time dimension. And the mutual influence between separate karma and common karma is of course a must. The father's life causes bad and good actions, which of course must have an impact on the child's life. If the father's life is ethical, gentle, has a good level of education and knowledge, and has an exemplary behavioral life, then the child's life will certainly have a positive influence. This case has happened clearly in society in the past. On the contrary, if the father is a less moral person, has a self-indulgent, debauched life, and has many bad qualities, then of course it will have a great impact on the child's character and life. Like eating salty food is the cause, but being thirsty is the effect. It is because parents do not behave ethically that it can cause consequences for their children's lives. This is similar cause and effect, influenced by collective karma. 2. Why must we fast on fasting days?
Question: Dear teacher, Buddhists are vegetarians, and vegetarians. I don't understand why we have to fast during the fasting days. And what days are the days? Dear teacher, please kindly answer, so that we can understand clearly.
Answer: According to the Kai Sutra in the Aham school and the Great Tri-Do commentary, the male days are the animal patrol days, of the messengers of the four heavenly kings and Mahi Thursday La heavens. These people received the mission of inspecting the human world, seeing how the good deeds and practices of the human world were, then returning to report to the heavenly king. If everyone knows how to do good and create merit such as giving alms and being filial to their parents and grandparents, the number of heavenly beings will increase. On the contrary, natural birth will be minimized. Therefore, in the human world, people try to cultivate the blessings of the precepts and fast during their days to be born in the heavenly realms. At the same time, on rainy days, ghosts and gods often travel in the human world, and often punish and cause disasters for those who do not practice and have little merit. That's why Buddha taught lay Buddhists to try to cultivate merit on fasting days. Thanks to the growth of religious merit, we can overcome all disasters and hardships. In a month there are many days of fasting. Depending on the vow of Buddhists to observe the precepts, there are many different days of fasting. But mainly on the 8th, 14th, full moon and 30th days. Because on these days, the angels obey the orders of the heavenly king and march regularly to encourage people in the world to cultivate blessings and be born in heaven. Therefore, the god Datik has a verse of praise: whoever takes the 8th day, 14th, full moon every month, to practice precepts, that person agrees with me. In addition, there are other days. If someone fasts for 10 days, they must eat on days 1, 8, 14, 15, 18, 23, 24, 28, 29, 30. This is called the 10 days. If you eat 6 days, 6 clams, then 8, 14, 15, 23, 29, 30. If you eat for 4 days, then 1, 14, 15, 30. If you eat for 2 days, then 1st and 15th day. In addition, there is also the 3 lunar month, which means observing the precepts in the following months, January, July and October. Some people eat for 3 months straight, then start eating from the full moon of April until the full moon of July. Accepting and maintaining the precepts to practice and create more merit depends on the Buddhist's vows. Normally, after taking refuge, Buddhists must observe at least 2 days of fasting, the first day and the full moon day. On precept days, Buddhists should try to keep their minds pure by chanting sutras, reciting Buddha's names and cultivating many good deeds, etc. That is a very good thing for Buddhists to persevere in their practice. 3. When did Buddha statues exist?
Question: Dear teacher, I often feel happy to offer Buddha statues to temples, but to be honest, I don't quite understand the reason why Buddha statues exist, and when did Buddha statues exist? Who created the first Buddha statue? Dear teacher, please be kind and please give us a clear answer.
Answer: Based on Buddhist scriptures, Mahayana theory. The merit of creating a statue means that the Buddha statue has existed since the Buddha's time in this world. Originally, King Yu de Dain, ruler of Ka Dmd, was the first person to use sandalwood to create the image of Shakyamuni Buddha. The original text of the sutra is very long. Here, we would only like to summarize the content through a few main ideas as follows. After nearly 49 years of preaching the Dharma to save sentient beings, during the final retreat season, the Buddha immediately thought of the saints. His mother Mada, so he temporarily left the human world to go to Dao Loi heaven to preach the Dharma to his holy mother and the gods. During this time, King Yu de Dain, day and night, was restlessly thinking about the Buddha. Because he was a very devout Buddhist, and always revered the three jewels. Because of that earnest nostalgia, it was the main motivation that motivated him to urgently create the Buddha image. It was an act aimed at expressing his desire and admiration for Buddha. At the same time, he also wanted to leave behind the image of the world-honored one during the times when he was not present in the human world. After thinking so, the king immediately ordered to summon famous sculptors in the country to sculpt and create Buddha images for worship. But the order was issued, but no one dared to take on this responsibility. Because they think that the Buddha's physical appearance is brilliant, majestic and noble, his image is supernatural and sublime, how can a statue be made to convey the same virtues as him? It is an extremely difficult job. If not done well, it will become a serious sin against the Buddha. Because of that thought, no sculptor dared to accept it. At that time, there was a god named Tai Thursday Yet Ma. Knowing that, he immediately transformed into a carpenter. This carpenter immediately came before the king and said, "Your Majesty, I am a skilled carpenter. I would like to wholeheartedly create a Buddha statue for the king. My job is to not disappoint the king. So, please, great king, don't look for someone else, let me take on this important responsibility." Hearing it, the king approved and ordered it to be carried out immediately. With the skillful hands of this god, within just one day, the Buddha statue was completed. The sculpted Buddha image was beautiful and the king was very satisfied. The king admired and praised him, felt joy in his pure mind, and immediately realized his patience. Softness of mind and patience means gentleness of mind and wisdom. According to the Infinite Life Sutra, gentleness is one of the three dharmas of forbearance, patience of sound, gentleness of patience, and patience of no birth. Immediately after realizing New Thuan forbearance, the king was extremely happy and all his troubles were gone. Regarding the merit of creating statues, also according to the above-mentioned scriptures, the Buddha taught that anyone who uses materials such as silk and thread to embroider Buddha statues or uses lead, zinc, gold, silver or fragrant sandalwood etc., painting and sculpting statues, making people admire and worship, will receive immeasurable and boundless blessings. That person will have a dignified appearance and will eliminate extremely serious sins. This shows us that the person who creates the Buddha statue or the person who contributes money, wealth, joy, and offerings to the work of creating this statue will both receive great blessings. Because Buddhists contribute to maintaining the three jewels to benefit human beings. Thanks to that, the Buddha Dharma has been widely circulated, and thanks to that, people have come to think and remember the Buddha's noble, deep, generous, and immense kindness. With such remembrance, Buddhists earnestly strive to practice, and are determined to follow the Buddha's example of compassion, altruism, and noble vows to practice, to quickly attain enlightenment and liberation. In short, thanks to King Yu de Dain, today we have Buddha statues to worship. Whether sculpted or sculpted with any form of material, it all serves the same purpose of bringing an aesthetic nuance, to arouse the confidence of fans and worshippers in Germany. Buddha. Therefore, sculptors who create statues must also have professional ability and a profound sense to be able to perform this job perfectly. That is a very great blessing that not everyone can create. 4. What are the three virtues?
Question: Dear teacher, I have heard a tape teaching about the three virtues, the virtue of wisdom, the virtue of abandonment, and the virtue of kindness. But I don't understand the meaning of these three virtues. Dear teacher, please answer so I can understand.
Answer: the three virtues belong to the Dharma number or name number. The three virtues include: 1. Wisdom virtue, also known as contemplation virtue, means that practitioners need to use wisdom to observe that all dharmas are false and unreal. Thanks to such contemplation, one should not be contaminated in all dharmas. Therefore, the practitioner will be liberated. 2. The virtue of cessation is the cessation of all kinds of ignorance, afflictions, and defilements. 3. Grace refers to the virtue that bestows favors on sentient beings. This virtue is due to the vow of Buddha and Bodhisattva to always save sentient beings. A virtuous person is someone who always has a generous, tolerant, forgiving soul and benefits all living beings. 5. Meaning of the Buddhist flag.
Question: Dear teacher, someone asked me about the meaning of the Buddhist flag. They asked why there were 5 different colors. So what do those 5 colors represent? I really don't understand, please explain to me clearly.
Answer: The Buddhist flag was approved by the World Buddhist Fellowship Conference, held for the first time in Colombo, Sri Lanka, from May 26, 1950 to June 7, 1950. Flag 5 color symbolizes the 5 roots and 5 forces. The 5 senses include faith, diligence, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. The 5 forces just strengthen the 5 senses and make them stronger, just as we believe in the 3 jewels or the principle of cause and effect, but our belief is not yet strong and firm, so we need to have stronger, firm belief. That is the scope of the power of faith. That means having more capacity to promote stronger faith. Diligence is diligence, which means diligently practicing a certain method. Like diligently reciting Buddha's name, for example. Even though we are diligent, our diligence is not yet strong, so we need to put in effort to be more diligent in reciting the Buddha's name. Thanks to our diligence, we always remember the Buddha's name and practice it without interruption. Concentration and constant remembering is neem. From long-term concentration and concentration, the power of concentration arises. When there is concentration, of course there is hue. That is the general meaning of the 5 roots and 5 powers. In short, the 5 colors of the flag symbolize the meaning of the 5 senses and 5 forces. In addition, it also symbolizes the spiritual meaning of harmony of Buddhism. Buddhism always advocates peace. Therefore, humanity throughout the 5 continents, although their skin color and race are different, Buddhism views each other as a brotherhood. With the spirit of compassion, equality, and harmony, Buddhism has no class division. Or distinguish between different skin colors and races. Because they all have the same source of wisdom, Buddha nature. Therefore, the Buddhist flag, in addition to symbolizing the teachings, also represents the spirit of adaptation and harmony. 6. The difference between Shakyamuni Buddha and Amitabha Buddha statues.
Question: Dear teacher, please show us the difference between the images of Shakyamuni Buddha and Amitabha Buddha. What is the difference?
Answer: The difference between the 2 statues, Shakyamuni Buddha and Amitabha Buddha, is through a few characteristics of their appearances as follows. 1. Shakyamuni Buddha is often worshipped in the middle of the main hall in northern Buddhism, Mahayana, Buddhist temples. He should be called the Venerable One, because he is the patriarch of this Saha world. 2. His image does not necessarily have to look like an Indian, because according to the concept of Northern Buddhism, especially Zen Buddhism, each person has a Buddha, Buddha nature, so people from any country should sculpt statues that look like people from other countries. There. From facial expressions to appearance. So the images worshipped in temples are not necessarily the same. That's the general overview, but the details are relatively similar, as if sitting on a lotus, both hands holding the Samadhi Mudra, the humerus on the top of the head, eyes 3/4 open, and wearing casa, y, etc. Those are some of the symbolic features of Shakyamuni Buddha. In addition, the pagodas also worship the statue of the newborn Shakyamuni Buddha, pointing to heaven and earth. Regarding the statue of Amitabha Buddha, there are usually 2 statues that we often see, the statue of him sitting cross-legged on a lotus flower, with his hands tied in the mudra, similar to Shakyamuni Buddha, and the statue of him standing on a lotus flower floating in the void. Below is the ocean. The waves are very high, his eyes look down, his left hand holds the nectar seal and raises it to shoulder level, his right hand stretches down as if ready to wait to save sentient beings immersed in the ocean of suffering. This statue is called Amitabha statue. Regarding the standing statue, usually next to him are the 2 great Bodhisattvas Avalokiteshvara, and that Chi Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara stands on his left hand and Bodhisattva the Great stands on his right hand. This is called the Tam Ton statue. Regarding this statue, it is very easy to distinguish it from the Shakyamuni Buddha statue. As for the sitting statue, we should note the difference between the two statues as follows: 1. Shakyamuni Buddha statue never stretches an arm. 2. Statues of Shakyamuni Buddha often wear robes around their necks. They do not wear square robes, leaving an open space on the chest with a swastika. On the contrary, Amitabha Buddha statues are sometimes carved in a cross-legged position with his right hand stretched out. The robe has a square neck and a swastika on the chest. Those are two main features different from the Shakyamuni Buddha statue. 7. What is the Eightfold Dharma?
Question: Dear teacher, I heard about the Eightfold Dharma, but I don't understand what the Eightfold Dharma is. Please kindly explain to me clearly.
Answer: The Eight Elements Dharma is also known as the Eight Elements of Precepts or the Eight Elements for short. These are the 8 dharmas that Buddha taught bhikkhunis to respectfully respect bhikkhu monks. The Eightfold Dharma includes: 1. Even if a bhikkhuni is 100 years old, if she sees a bhikkhu monk who has just received the precepts, she must stand up to welcome her, pay her respects and spread out a clean throne to invite her to sit. 2. Bhikkhunis are not allowed to criticize or scold bhikkhu monks. 3. Bhikkhunis are not allowed to blame or say the faults of bhikkhu sangha. Conversely, bhikkhu sangha have the right to say fault of bhikkhuni. 4. After learning the precepts, the novice monk should follow the monks and seek great ordination. 5. The bhikkhuni committed the crime of destroying the sangha, so she had to spend half a month in 2 monastic orders practicing manarita. 6. Bhikkhunis should follow the bhikkhu sangha for half a month to receive and study. 7. Bhikkhunis are not allowed to reside in a place where there are no bhikkhu monks. 8. After the bhikkhuni has finished the summer retreat, she should be in the bhikkhu sangha and pray for 3 things to repent. Hugh Kwong Buddhist Dictionary, Volume 1, page 574. 8. What is the 8 tribulations?
Question: Dear teacher, I read in the sutra that it says the 8 tribulations, but I don't understand what the 8 tribulations are. Please be happy to give me a clear answer. Thank you, teacher.
Answer: The 8 tribulations are also called the 8 tribulations or the 8 tribulation solutions, etc. It has many different names, but in general, it shows 8 places where living beings experience suffering. The 8 tribulations include: 1. Hell. Sentient beings, due to evil karma, must experience the retribution of falling into hell, suffering endlessly, not being able to see the Buddha and hear the Dharma. 2. Hungry ghosts. Due to the karma of greed and stinginess, sentient beings are destined to be born as hungry ghosts, and must endure hunger, thirst, and countless sufferings. 3. Animal suffering. Due to dark delusion, living beings act illegally and contrary to morality and ethics. So they must be reborn as animals. 4. Being born in the heavenly realm. Long life. In this heavenly realm, one's lifespan is long, and one is hindered from seeing the Buddha and hearing the Dharma. 5. Nguyen was born in Yat Dan Viet, also known as Bac Kulo Chau or Tangland. Because people are born in this world, they are forever addicted to greed and pleasure, so they cannot meet the Buddha Dharma to practice. 6. Blindness, deafness, muteness, and speech impediment. Even though they are born as humans, their 6 senses are not perfect, so they cannot see, hear, or learn the Buddha Dharma. 7. Knowledge and understanding of the world. This type of person, although they are very intelligent and clever, specializes in studying pagan books, so they do not believe in the Dharma and do not know how to practice to be liberated from life and death and suffering. 8. The trouble of being born before the Buddha and after the Buddha. Due to deep karma, sentient beings are born unable to meet the Buddha. In general, the sutra says that the 8 tribulations are like that. 9. Why does Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva hold a staff in his right hand and a pearl in his left hand?
Question: Dear teacher, every time I bow to Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, I see him holding a staff in his right hand and a pearl in his left hand. I don't understand what this means. Please give me a clear answer.
Answer: The staff is one of the Dharma weapons created by Buddha. In ancient times, Buddhas and saints often went begging for alms, often carrying bowls on their shoulders and holding staffs in their hands. The use of the staff is to remove obstacles that hinder their steps. Like snakes and centipedes, etc., there are 12 rings on the head of the staff, which symbolize 12 causes and conditions. Due to enlightenment of the 12 causes and conditions, the Buddha achieved enlightenment. From there, he brought 12 causes and conditions to teach and transform living beings, because he wanted everyone to be enlightened to morality like him. Therefore, the right hand of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva holding the staff above his head has 12 rings, which represents that typical meaning. His left hand holds a pearl, symbolizing wisdom. Because if you want to destroy ignorance, you need to have wisdom. Once wisdom shines, ignorance no longer exists. The clue to the 12 causes and conditions is ignorance. So the 12 rings symbolize ignorance. Pearl beads symbolize wisdom. When wisdom shines like a shining pearl, the darkness of ignorance no longer exists. There, you will be liberated from birth and death, ending all suffering and attachments. Therefore, the image of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva symbolizes a monk, different from other bodhisattvas who symbolize a lay person. All of that is to say this idea. 10. What are the 4 demons?
Question, dear teacher, I heard that people who practice are often hindered by 4 kinds of demons, but I don't understand what those 4 kinds of demons are. I beg you to be merciful and give me a clear answer.
Answer. In the Sutra of the 8 Great Human Enlightenments, there is a saying, submit to the 4 demons and leave the realm of hell. Talk about 4 types of demons, the demons of afflictions, the demons of the 5 skandhas, the demons of heaven and the demons of death. These 4 types of demons create great obstacles for practitioners. The first is the demon of afflictions. This is the devil in each person's heart. There are many types of afflictions, but there are 2 main types, basic afflictions and dependent afflictions. Basic is the root. That is, the following types: greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, doubt, and evil views. These are types with deep, thick roots that are difficult to eliminate and cut off. It is the cause of people's constant suffering. As for afflictions, they are lighter, but they also cause people to always feel uneasy. They include 20 items. Their intensity has strong and weak types. So the consciousness onlyists divide them into 3 types: small dependencies, middle dependence and great dependence. Regarding minor factors, there are 10 things: anger, hatred, wealth, anger, disability, anger, stubbornness, pride, harm, and pride. There are 2 types of neutrality, shamelessness and preciousness. There are 8 types of great dependence: laxity, drowsiness, disbelief, laziness, heedlessness, absent-mindedness, distraction, and unrighteous understanding. The second is the 5 skandhas. The 5 skandhas include form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. Why are these 5 things called ghosts? Because these 5 things do not really exist, but people stubbornly believe that they do exist, and from there create painful karma, so they are called demons. Third is the heavenly devil. This is the type of demon king in the desire realm heaven. They have the ability to transform, disturb, hindering the practitioner's progress. This type of demon stirs up Buddha when he is about to attain enlightenment. Because they don't want anyone to escape the 5 desires. When they see someone practicing diligently and no longer indulging in the 5 worldly pleasures, they often cause trouble. Fourth is death ghost. Dead ghosts are dead ghosts. After death, people become ghosts, goblins, causing trouble, causing people to be afraid of illness, etc. Or people who are diligently cultivating suddenly become ill or have an accident due to impermanence. Then fall to death, becoming if you are afraid of leaving your practice unfinished, it also belongs to the demon of death. In short, these 4 types of demons, their powers, all act as great obstacles on the practitioner's path of cultivation. Because they cause so much trouble, it makes it difficult for practitioners to be liberated.
Thank you for spending your valuable time on my channel journey to enlightenment. Wishing you a very peaceful and happy day. Don't forget to click like and subscribe to my support channel. See you in the next video.